And in the studio with us this morning is Donna Griffith as we talk about something that the Indiana County United Way is very, very intimately involved in, and that is the Indiana County 211 system. Now, we had Chuck Spatafor, remember, on the air with us last year. We talked about the 211 system, and maybe it's time we learned more about that system and what it is and how it operates and how the United Way is involved in helping it to operate. Good morning.
Right. Good morning, Todd. Thanks for allowing me to be here.
Oh, it's good to have you in the studio with us, particularly when it's something like this, because this Indiana County 211 system, even though we've given it a lot of mentions and we've talked about it quite often in the past year, I think that it's still something that's somewhat of a secret to Indiana County folks.
I think you're right. You know, Indiana County has been involved through the United Way since 2013. And we've been involved in that. We provide they're called navigators, the people who answer the phones. Mm-hmm. We provide them with information about resources for help within the Indiana County area for 211. A person who needs help in any kind of resources for human service needs, perhaps food, perhaps shelter, perhaps rental assistance, utility assistance, it is a single phone number to call, just like when you dig outside and you call 411, or when you have an emergency, you call 911. Mm-hmm. For human service needs, you would call 211. That phone is answered in Pittsburgh, and you tell them a lot of information about where you live, what your needs are, and they have the ability to go into their database and talk about Indiana.
Yeah, and it's very, very detailed and specific to Indiana, even though it's a central calling center.
Absolutely, it is. We have data that shows us that in Indiana County last year, 707 people made the call to 211. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about that is that once someone calls 211, the trained navigators are able to say to them, you called us today about rental assistance, but do you have other needs? And based on those conversations that they have with the individuals, we had a total of 1,445 referrals for help. Wow. Out of those 707 phone calls. Mm-hmm. So you can see that the folks who are answering the phones are trained, they're all talented, to kind of tease apart, if you will, what the initial call is all about.
Yeah, in fact, they doubled the response.
And in essence, it's an average of 2 referrals per phone call.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating about this, and what I hope people understand, is it is up-to-the-minute information. We have people in human services, Maureen Pounds actually is the person who does it, who gets a report once each week about the phone calls that came into the 211 center, and she reviews those and sees where the referral was made. And if perhaps there was a piece of information missing or something that needs to be tweaked in the data center, she responds to Pittsburgh and lets them know, this referral was great, but here's another possibility. Yeah. So it's every week that information is updated, and we stay on top of it in that way.
Mm-hmm. And is there the opportunity then to follow up with the person who's made that original call?
Well, there isn't at this point, and because of the nature of the 211 human services, confidentiality is really at the forefront. But they do random samplings and evaluations of the help that is given, and people from those data that I have, people are satisfied and pleased with the kinds of helps that they are being given. People say to me, well, what is it that people are calling about? What are the greatest needs that the people in Indiana County are calling about? And again, this data is striated based on Indiana County data. There's only over 161,000 phone calls that go into that call center.
Wow.
So we're going to talk only about Indiana County. And in Indiana County, the number one referral is for electric service payment assistance.
Oh, yeah.
For utilities. Rental assistance is second, gas service third, and food pantries fourth. Mm-hmm. So you can see that we're talking about some very, very basic human needs and people who are seeking help for those needs.
Yeah, that truly does bring it home, the fact that when you are in a bad situation, there is some place to turn that you might not even have considered, and just by simply picking up the phone and punching 3 numbers, 211,
right,
you are on the track to finding the help that you need.
Exactly. And again, those folks are trained, and if you're on the border between 2 counties, perhaps the people in Salzburg or Blairsville, on the border between 2 counties, they will do their best to get you the most efficient resource to help you out. people often ask me, well, how old are these people that call in Indiana County? What is the age grouping of who's making those phone calls? And 51%, more than half the people who call, are between the ages of 26 and 54 years old. So you can start to think about, these are people with young families. These are perhaps grandparents who are helping to care for their grandchildren. Yeah. So it's that spread, and again, 51% of those people, as you might guess, the majority of those, a preponderance of those, 78% of those, are actually females who are making the calls.
Yeah. I'm wondering about the participation of veterans and things of that. Are the demographics broken down that much?
They are not for veterans, but we do know because of the anecdotal stories that we're getting back from 211, veterans are very much part of it. Mm-hmm. In Allegheny County, not in Indiana County, but in Allegheny County, there are very specific programs for veterans referrals as well.
Oh, okay.
And so we are seeing that's starting to spread out a little bit. Mm-hmm. 211, while it is Indiana County, it is not unique to Indiana County. We are part of a system that is in southwestern Pennsylvania, and you heard me say phones are answered in Pittsburgh. They are, but we have 211 throughout Pennsylvania right now. And I'm very pleased to say that because people are mobile. People have to move for jobs or for family commitments. It is throughout Pennsylvania and, in fact, throughout the United States. So 211 really is a number of significance that people should be holding on to.
You mentioned a couple of moments ago about the training that these folks undergo. It must be because programs change so often and so quickly. They can a whole program can spring up or can be shut down in the matter of a few days. They really have to stay on top of this.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of having someone like a Maureen Pounce from our Human Services, Indiana County Human Services Office, who, again, once a week will look at where the referrals are being made and exactly for what purpose the referrals are being made. And then she offers guidance to Pittsburgh to update their databases. And they have what I would simply call a whole machine. They have an operational practice where they have people updating that information real time, constantly. Yeah. And it's only as good as the people who keep it current, and the people in Indiana County truly are keeping it current. We at the United Way are thrilled to be a partner in this process, and we have been helping to inform our legislators about 211, hoping that we can get their support, continuing support. We have two legislators right now who have placed bills that are out for review, looking at supporting 211 in a little greater capacity financially. I don't know where that's going. We certainly hope that it goes in a positive direction. But 211 as a resource is incredibly useful. And we just want people to remember, it's simple, 211.
Is Indiana County's United Way's participation in 211, is that a unique thing for Indiana County, or are United Way agencies in other counties also involved?
No, it is not unusual for a United Way to be involved in the 211 process. In fact, United Way of Pennsylvania is really one of the steering units throughout the state to have this be a statewide resource for human services. United Way is in a unique position to while we don't provide services, we certainly broker for services. Mm-hmm. And so it's very much in our wheelhouse, if you will, to find a way to get information to the greatest number of people in the most efficient way. And our friends at United Way Pennsylvania have worked really hard to build this 211 system and, again, link it into a national system. We are thrilled that we have some very specific partners in Indiana who are willing to help us pay for this contract. People's Gas has helped us to do that. Krebs United Publications has helped us to do that. Some of the dollars that they have donated have been very specifically directed to pay for our yearly contract to be part of 211. Yeah. United Way pays the other third.
Yeah, it's interesting to me as well that when you mention the services most often called about, that utility services are right up there at the top of the list.
They are.
Especially at this time of the year.
Right. We look at demographics. I get reports on a weekly basis, and then I get summary reports on a monthly basis. And it's very clear that in about April, May, we see a bump. And I'm thinking this is kind of moving into summer, and people are starting to be concerned about utilities. Been through winter, using a lot of the funds and dedicated resources, shifting them around a little bit, and they're falling short in some areas. And then, as you might expect to see as we move into winter, we see another bump.
Absolutely, and folks then they'll start to look at the furnace for the first time that hasn't run since last winter, and they'll find out, and of course the utility service that is actually going to make that happen. And housing is of course a major component of 211 as well. Right,
rental assistance, definitely huge. Yeah. I can share with you that the top 10 referral agencies in Indiana County, which is really wonderful, and we say thank you to them. St. Vincent de Paul, the Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, the Indiana County Community Action Program. For different purposes, Catholic Charities shows up and Salvation Army shows up for different purposes again and again. But Indiana County Assistance Office, the LIHEAP Crisis Program, which is the energy assistance, those areas are the top referrals for our top 10 needs. In Indiana County. But it goes much deeper than that, certainly.
And obviously a part of all of this is the income of the folks who are calling 211. One would assume that because the need is there, that funding and money within the household is going to be one of the major drivers of people who are really desperately looking for some way out of what has become a very poor situation for them.
You're right. And that kind of a situation is not at all unusual. When a person calls into the Navigators, they hear stories that you and I would just be so challenged to have our heart not break hearing. And these Navigators hold it together, and they get as much information as they can from the folks and do all that they can to get them referred to the right place for the right resource. Okay,
those three numbers are 211. Those are the numbers to remember. Donna, what's the one thing that people don't know about 211, the one or two things that they need to know in order to make this even more valuable to them?
I think that all of us connect with someone each and every day who has a need for a service that 211 might help with. So what I would say is talk to your friends, talk to your family, and just let them know 211 exists. Now, I'm always surprised when I go out and talk to people, and my question is, do you know what 211 is? If you do, put your hand up. And so many people have their hands down. They still don't know. We've got to get the word out.
Absolutely. Let's do that, and let's make that a part of the mission. 211 is the number to call. Donna, thank you so much for coming in.
You are most welcome. Thank you, Todd.
My pleasure. Coming up tomorrow on Indiana in the Morning, it's another busy day. We'll have Milt Lady with us. Milt Lady, of course, the White Township manager, and they have many things going on in White Township, obviously, and we'll discuss those with Milt. Today, mostly cloudy, a high temperature near 30 degrees, down to 24 tonight, and then tomorrow, a mostly sunny day and a high temperature of about 44. Right now, our Indigo bus stop temperature, as it has been all day, stuck at 27 degrees. Let Indigo drive you, indigobus.com. Have a wonderful day. It's Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank, AM 1160 WCCS, 101.1 FM.